This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Mike Sedita.
Hello out there. Welcome to episode 162 of the Good Neighbor Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sedita, and today we're joined by Wendy Long. She is the owner of LaDee-Da Kids Spa. She has two locations in, I guess, Newport Richey. Is Newport Richey Pinellas County or is that Pasco County?
Pasco.
So she has two locations in two counties. Wendy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for being on the Good Neighbor Podcast. Just in case you're not aware of, who we are and what we do, the Good Neighbor Podcast was started in 2020 during COVID, when you weren't giving any kids any pedicures or manicures, and we couldn't touch anybody or be within 6 feet of each other. The Good Neighbor Podcast was started as a way for businesses like yours to get your message out into the community and connect with neighbors and people in the area. And over the last 4 years, now the Good Neighbor Podcast is in South Florida, Tampa, Atlanta, Virginia, Philadelphia, Denver. We're all over the United States. And I'm lucky enough to be the person here in Tampa that gets to talk to business owners like you and learn their story. So with that said, tell us, you have such a cool name, and I am very familiar with your location in Clearwater, but tell us about LaDee-Da Kids Spa.
Yeah, so basically we are a full-service salon and spa and party center for children. So we are staffed with licensed cosmetologists. We do boys and girls haircuts, manicures, pedicures, full princess makeovers for the kids where they can be a princess for a day, complete with pictures, and then a whole party center too. So we have over 500 costumes for them to dress up in. We have a runway built for them to dance on stage and just have a magical time.
So let me ask you this. What's the number one right now party for a little girl ages, 5 to 8 years old? What is their number one dress up party right now?
Yeah, so what we do primarily for that age group is the dress up and dance party. All the kids come in. You can have up to 25 children, both boys and girls. They would choose a costume to wear. They would get services such as face paint, makeup, hairstyles, fingernails polished. We do the fashion show with them on the stage, dance party, and then there's also time for them to sit down and eat, sing happy birthday and everything in the party room.
And then what ages do you go up to? Like where is if a kid's going to a pediatrician, there's an age range when they actually graduate out to a general practitioner. When do they go from, what age do they go from LaDee-Da up to like their normal salon?
Yeah, so our primary demographic is ages 3 through 11. I would say as they start getting a little bit older than that, they, like to go to their mom's salon. They like to get the acrylics for their nails instead of the basic manicures. Basically, when they want to start upgrading to the more adult services. But we will see kids up until age of 18 for all of those services. So there have been some with us that have been coming for 9 years. And they refuse to go anywhere else because they love their cosmetologist that they work with and don't trust anybody else.
It makes sense. I mean, so a couple questions I have for you. Number one, when you do like a 6-year-old's birthday party and they're having their dance party and they're doing all that stuff, from the food side of it, do you guys work with partners in the area to bring food in, or do you have like a kitchen there that you cater? I'm assuming you don't do that. I'm assuming you have like a pizza place nearby or something like that for the kids to eat.
Exactly. So we work with local pizza places. At each location, we have a preferred vendor that gives us amazing discounts. And then we do work with a baker in the area as well that gives us a nice deal on amazing baked goods. But we don't limit our guests to those providers. So our guests that come in, they want to throw a party. If they want to bring all their own food, heating dishes, and all of that, they're welcome to.
You can accommodate.
Yeah, we want to make them happy with what the kids are eating and what they want.
Okay, so while we're on here, you get this great discount from your preferred vendors. Do you want to throw them a little plug right here? Maybe they'll give you a bigger discount if you throw them a little preferred plug right here.
Nice. Well, so at the Clearwater location, we use Domino's. It's only $8 for a large one-topping pizza. Can't go wrong with that. Up in Newport Richey, we use Pizza Hut. It's right in the same plaza, which is super convenient. And then for our baker, we use Joyce DiDonato with the Enchanted Baker. She does everything you could imagine as far as baked goods.
So the cool thing is, like, I can't imagine just orchestrating one or two kids, like getting them ready for school and doing all that is an undertaking. So I would assume convenience for the food side of it is the huge factor, because you have probably 10 kids to up to 25 kids running around. It's just whatever's close, whatever's easiest. But from a baking standpoint, does Joyce do all sorts of crazy, like, cakes, like the Cake Boss type of stuff? Does she go crazy with stuff like that?
Yeah, no, she definitely can. So, yeah, if you look on her Facebook page or her website, the Enchanted Baker, you can see all of the different custom cakes, cake pops, cookies. She even puts logos on cookies. She can put pictures on cookies. She can
Cool.
customize anything that you want.
And then from a staffing standpoint, I've driven past your place in Clearwater a bunch of times. I used to live in Safety Harbor. The location size, how much staff do you accommodate at each location?
So it varies. Typically at each location, I have 2 to 3 cosmetologists working, plus I have party attendants, and we also staff princesses. So I hire local theater talent in the area to perform as princesses for us as well.
So you have a lot going on. So tell the people that are listening, how do you get into this? I mean, were you in the salon business? Were you in the daycare business? And was it like the old Reese's peanut butter commercial? They just bumped into each other and became LaDee-Da?
Nice. So I do have an extensive past in high-end salons and spas from years ago when I was a massage therapist and I lived out west. I worked in amazing spas. So I have a little bit of background about how to run spas. But I literally just came into this because my kids were at an age they needed something like this. And at that time, I was working in corporate HR, which is completely different. But just saw the need. And as a mom, I wanted to create that environment.
So if I'm a parent and like my ex lives in Safety Harbor and she has 2 young kids, as a parent, do the moms usually come in with their kids, or does it depend on the age, or is it something where if mom has shopping to do, she could drop off Jane and leave her there and she gets all that done, or do you guys not do that?
Yeah, so they could. Typically, the parents stay with. If they come in just like for a half-hour haircut, it really doesn't make sense to leave them back. If they're coming in for a birthday party that could be 2 hours long, there are a lot of the parents that say, hey, is it okay if I leave them here with the other families? And that's perfectly fine.
So it's really just like human resources, just a lot of crying, but smaller people instead of grown-sized people. So
it's different. It's different. And to be honest with you, though, I think a lot of people have the perception that it's a kid's hair salon and you'll get those screaming kids. And the kids come in and they're honestly so happy to be there. It's probably 95% happiness, only 5% unhappy.
Well, I think the difference is, because I've been in there. I mean, the difference is when when a child is going there, it's like for an experience. It is like not just going to get a haircut and being strapped into a chair and, sit tight while we do this. It is like an experience. It's a manicure, it's a pedicure. It could be a whole bunch of different stuff. So I think the clientele, while they're still young, are still getting this value out of it, that they're experiencing something instead of just kind of running to get a haircut.
Absolutely. Yes.
So let me ask you this. How old are your kids now?
13 and 14.
Oh, wow. Close 2 teenagers. Boys or girls?
2 girls.
Oh, God bless you. 13 and 14 and 2 girls. So when you are not running these salons in 2 different counties and driving up and down 19 probably and sitting in traffic, what do you like to do for fun?
So, the kids are in, soccer, different things like that. We like to go swimming. We like to go to the beach, play pickleball, have a friend in Dunedin where we can drive the golf cart around and live in that community. Just be out and about.
I do really love Dunedin. It's probably one of my favorite places in, Tampa, St. Pete. It has such a great vibe and a great feel in there, and just the whole main street, all the different options to eat and see things and do things. It is a lot of fun to be there. You did say, though, you play pickleball. Are you one of these crazy fanatical pickleball people, or do you just go casual to have a drink and have some fun?
I'm very casual. Yes. I see a lot of people on the courts that are not so casual, but no, that's not me. I can hold my own, but no, I'm not that crazy.
So now, do you play? I don't know if you're married, your significant other. Do they play pickleball with you? You play doubles, or is it just you generally playing?
No, I have some friends and a boyfriend that plays as well.
All right, and he's not competitive, so he's not yelling at you, going like, "Wendy, come on, what are you doing?" He's kind of into it, saying, "All right, it's good. It's good when you're on the same wavelength with that stuff, or else one person being too competitive and the other it'll get contentious on the court and then probably off the court later on." So you said beaches and stuff. Do you have a go-to beach that you like to go to? Do you go to Clearwater? Do you go to Honeymoon Island? Where do you like to go?
Yeah, usually Honeymoon is our go-to place.
Yeah, I like Honeymoon too. It's nice out there. Other than the one road in and one road out, it's great. But that's the one part of it where it's just kind of like, So one of the things I like to ask business owners specifically, and in your case, you're a unique business. I mean, I don't know how much, do you have a lot of competition in the market that is out there that does what you do?
So there are certain companies that offer facets of what we do.
Right.
I've not found anybody that offers everything that we do. So all encompassing, because we have the hair salon, we have the birthday parties, we also have off-site princesses, we have face painters, we do fairy hair off-site. If you put all of that together, I have not seen another company that offers everything. But I find it better to have it all in-house than to outsource all of those items.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, I said it earlier, like wrangling a couple of kids together to do anything, just to run to the store is an undertaking as a parent. I'm assuming there are parents that want to bring their own food and stuff and cater themselves. But as a parent, when you have access to a location where it's age appropriate, it's fun, it's an experience, and everything is right there, I mean, that's a win for parents. I mean, that's what I assume is really just kind of the big draw to bring people out there. Now, I know when I lived in Clearwater in Safety Harbor a couple years ago, you were out there, you'd been there a little while. How recent is the Newport Richey location?
We've only been up in Newport Richey for about 6 months now.
6 months. And is it taking off? Like, does it track similar to the way LaDee-Da and Clearwater tracked as far as trajectory of growth? Or is it a little slower or a little better?
So I would say overall it's better, and that's probably because of the brand recognition that we already have in the area.
Right.
Even at the Clearwater location, we were getting clientele driving from Trinity, Newport Richey, the Clearwater location. So they were thrilled that we're coming up to that area. Now, is it as quick as I want it to be? Of course not.
It never is. It never is as quick as you want it to be. Is there plans for a third and possibly fourth location, or possibly franchising LaDee-Da?
Yeah, so that's my goal. I have spoken with franchise attorneys as far as, what does that trajectory look like? So my thought is to be able to prove the second location is profitable over the course of the next 2 years, and then we can franchise it.
Yeah, the nice thing about that is, listen, and not anybody, but people can open a business, but then when you replicate it and do it again, now you have sort of proof of concept, and all the mistakes you made with number one and then number two, you fine tune those, and then you create an out of the box solution for people that are, and frankly, your target for franchisees would be similar to you, like a mom who has a couple kids that wants that side business that she can start, and her and her husband go in and they franchise a LaDee-Da location in a neighborhood nearby. That's kind of the way to do it. So Wendy, one of the things about your location, because it's so unique, do you run into people come in and they just have like a misconception about what you do? Like they walk in the door and they think it's one thing, but it's something totally different?
I don't think so. I think for the most part, the communication about what we offer is pretty clear. That I haven't heard that or seen that from our clientele.
So the website answers a lot of the questions for people before they come into the door. So no one's really walking in going, hey, I was expecting this to be a playground, and it's not a playground. They're coming in, they know what they're getting.
Yeah, no, I think once they actually book something and they come in the door, they understand that. People like through networking groups or that I meet outside of that I try to explain what we do. A lot of people do jump to that right away. Oh, you're a daycare. No.
Yeah,
no.
right. I would think that. So what do you Excuse me. So what do you do networking? Do you do groups? What type of stuff do you do?
Yeah, so I definitely try to get involved in the community as far as different networking groups, working with other business owners, collaborations as much as I can. Absolutely.
So one of the things I like to ask business owners, and with COVID sort of in the distant past, a lot of times it's usually a COVID type answer, but has there been a time, I mean, you came from one career, now you do this career, where you ran into a hardship where you weren't sure if you were going to be able to get past it and somehow you did? Like what was the hardship, personal, professional, that you made through to get to where you are today to have 2 successful locations?
So as far as a hardship, I mean, obviously opening a second location is a big scare. We got through COVID with location number 1, which I think was a huge testimony to how we are perceived in the community, that, we bounced back, we were open again. Parents were definitely happy to see their kids out and enjoying themselves and feeling good and confident about themselves again. So that we got through. The second location is definitely stressful as far as taking that leap to do it all over again and have to rebuild. But once we got through the build out and all the hiccups with that, we're just gaining traction and momentum up there as we move along. So 6 months, we're still struggling a little bit, but I have confidence that once we hit that year mark, we'll be looking a lot better.
Well, it's funny you say that. That's one of the other things I run into a lot with business owners is just the logistics of opening a location in a time frame where, over the past 2 years, it was like supply chain issues and backlogs with the county to get certificates of occupancy and build outs with contractors because materials weren't available. When did you opened 6 months ago? When did Newport Richey start to get planned, and how long of a process was that?
Yeah, so I had been looking for property for a while. I ended up getting connected with a commercial real estate agent, Drew, who was phenomenal, and he found me properties in a heartbeat. So once that got the ball rolling, once we figured out the logistics of the lease and everything else, got signed up, then the build out was an issue. Then we had ups with that. Like you said, still materials and labor to get it done, and then permitting. So that whole process, once we signed the lease, was about 6 months until I was able to open the doors.
Wow. And honestly, because I do this with a lot of business owners, 6 months really isn't that terrible in some of the horror stories that I've heard. One of the pros and the cons to Pasco County, I do a lot of work there in Pasco County, is the pro is it's growing so incredibly fast. I mean, I work in the Odessa area, Land O'Lakes, and all that is just blowing up. And the further up 41 you go, it's blowing up. And that's great for growth and people coming in and businesses and all that stuff. The downside is from the government side of it, the infrastructure, the services, the things like permitting and all those things. There's such a backlog of all that stuff. So I've heard horror stories. So 6 months, I know when you're in the middle of it, it's like, oh my God, when is this ever going to end? Every day you're probably waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning because the committee starts going of all the things you have to do. But overall, that's really not too terrible considering some of the things that I've heard. So this is a labor of love. Are your girls, are they still involved at all? Or do they take an interest in the family business, or are they kind of like, Mom, we're going to go play soccer and you can deal with this?
So my 14-year-old is very involved. She works with us part-time. She helps out with parties. She'll do mascots. My youngest one does the mascots as well. So like if we have to send a snowman in costume off site, she'll dress up for that. And they have a good time with that. They both are involved in different varying ways.
Is one more business? Like, I mean, at 13 and 14, I get that. But like, does one have more of that business mindset and the other more the entertainment mindset? Is that, because that's how it was in my family. One of us was business and the other one was artsy and did all that stuff.
Yeah. My older one definitely is more business minded. She is very planful. She has her schedule every day organized. She knows when she has to work. She's very planful. That saves her money. And the other one's more playful.
So would you ever consider, I mean, your businesses are running and they're working and they're building, Clearwater is successful, and Newport Richey is inevitably going to be successful. Could you ever see yourself going back and working a straight job again? Could you ever see yourself doing that?
No, I cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
The life that gets sucked out of you with corporate America, it's crazy. No.
And that's the hardest part. Like, when I worked a corporate job, everybody I talked to, someday I'm going to open my own business, and thinking it was just going to be like drinking on a yacht at 10 o'clock in the morning while my business runs, and not realizing being an entrepreneur, there is no 40-hour work week anymore. It is a longer work week, but the flexibility that you have within it. Like, I remember I was telling this story to somebody the other day, and if you probably can relate to it, having a corporate job, like having to run to the dry cleaners during business hours while I was trying to work and fit the errands in that I needed to do. It was like another job, trying to schedule all that stuff in, or, hey, I got to leave work 10 minutes early to go do X, Y, and Z. The advantage of being an entrepreneur is you have the flexibility to do the stuff you need to do. But the downside is the committee starts going at 5 o'clock in the morning of all the things you have to do. And for me, I know for me, running businesses that I have, it just doesn't turn off. Like, there's days I get up 4 o'clock in the morning, and once it starts going, I don't even try to fight it anymore. I just get up and start doing something to get on with my day. Do you operate like that, or do you like hit the snooze button and say, I'll get up later and deal with it?
No, so it's a different world. Like, I have some employees that are like, oh my gosh, I have to work 3 days a week. I have to work 4 days a week. I'm like, gosh, like, are you kidding me? Like, it's a 7-day-a-week job. Now, I do have the flexibility,
right,
but I literally wake up, I'm on the computer, I'm doing stuff. Run my errands, I go have fun, but then I'm back on it. So it's a ton of work, but it is nice to be able to do it on my own schedule.
And it's rewarding. I mean, like, look, working a corporate job, you work, you get your steady paycheck, but somebody else is getting the brunt of the money. They're getting like, at least if it's your business, I have like sweat equity, blood and sweat equity into my business. And the more successful it is, the more I can grow, and the more you can now look at the next levels of how you want to do your business. So for you, one of the questions I always ask people, because it's super important, and I guess it's kind of the $1 million question, is if someone is looking to do a party or looking to get their kids into something, what is the one thing they need to know about LaDee-Da Kids Spa that you want them to know why they should come in and use your services?
We take the stress out of the party planning. So you literally, the mom just needs, or dad needs to call in, book the party, and we take care of all the rest. So we will do confirmations to make sure all the details are understood, accurate. From the minute you book that party and you walk through our doors, you sit back and relax. You get to actually sit there, watch your kid have a magical party, take pictures, and enjoy it, while we have the staff there that will unload your car, do the setup. They're going to do all the services. They're going to DJ the dance party. They're going to cut the cake, serve the pizza, absolutely everything. And then when you're done, you leave. We clean it all up as well. So it's a stress-free party.
And then the other question I have from that, now that you say that, is what about like invitations? Do I just come to you and give you a guest list, or the parents have to actually send out all the invites, but once everybody shows up, mom and dad could just enjoy the show?
Yeah, so they do send the invitations, but we have the templates available for each party type available on the website, that all they need to do is download it and they're good to go.
And the last question is, and the most important question is, how do people get a hold of you? Your website, social media, phone numbers, give it all to us. We'll include it when we post this, but let everybody hear how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so the Clearwater location is 727-301-1808. The email is LaDee-Da-Kids-Spa@gmail.com. And the website is LaDee-Da-Kids-Spa.com. For the Newport Richey location, the phone number is 727-261-6265. The email address is lddnpr@gmail. And you can also look at the website up there at LaDee-Da-NPR.com.
So, folks, there is a lot of information there, depending on if you're in Newport Richey area, in Pasco, or if you're in Clearwater. We are going to include all of that information when we put together the podcast for our listeners. I can tell you that my ex used your spa. She loved it. Her daughter loved it. It was a great experience for her. Came back showing her nails and all the different stuff. She had a great time. Felt pampered, just like mom does when she goes to get her manicure and pedicure. So, folks, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you want an experience for your daughter or son or daughter, I mean, it doesn't matter. You can go in, get a haircut, get the spa treatment, get everything that goes with it, and have your parties there. Wendy, thank you so much for being on the Good Neighbor podcast with us. Thank you for being a good neighbor. You have an amazing day.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Passcode. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnppasco.com. That's gnppasco.com or call 813-922-3610.